This video is not for speedrunners, nor is it for people who want a meta build. No, we don't do those kinds of builds on this channel. What you'll find here is something that is better than meta. The build in this video will give you more damage and more DPS than anything you'll find elsewhere. I'm expecting more hate from the meta chasers down in the comments, but that's okay. I rest easy knowing that in a few months' time, they will all be using the core of this build in their sets and claiming it as their own discovery. So if you want to get in on the ground floor, you're in the right place. I've featured Bubbly Dance in probably a half dozen videos now, and it's still one of my favorite skills. If you want a full breakdown, you can check out my dedicated video on it. For now, I'll just quickly sum up what it does. First, it gives you Bubble Blight. Then, it removes the negative effects of Bubble Blight. In addition, it gives you the equivalent of Constitution 2 and Evade Window 2. Now that's the one that gives you extra iframes. That's not Evade Extender. By itself, though, that's pretty good. But remember, you have a Blight now, so this Blight will trigger skills related to Blights, namely Resuscitate and Coalescence. The cool thing about Bubbly Dance is that you can keep it active pretty much the whole quest, and it will continue to activate Coalescence because the Bubble Blight disappears if you get hit or bumped or if it just wears off after a time limit. So you should have Resuscitate and Coalescence active for the vast majority of your quest time. Amazing, right? Non-meta bow users have been taking advantage of this for over a year, and even further back in previous versions of the game. And it's always proven to give the highest damage numbers on bow builds. Now the build in this video isn't simply another Bubbly Dance video. The second part of the core of this build is something that Sunbreak introduced and was promptly dismissed by the meta community. What we're talking about here is a switch skill called Bolt Boost. Bolt Boost gives you a super critical distance, a range at which you get a different reticle so that you know that you're in the range, and a massive boost to your damage. Bolt Boost is the single biggest damage boost you can get for your bow. It beats everything else. So why wouldn't you use it? Skeptics say that it's too hard to use. They say the supercritical range is just too tight to be useful. Move just a little bit back or forward, or even if the monster readjusts only slightly and you're no longer in supercritical range. And they're correct on that point. But there's another skill that was long ago dismissed by the meta community that many of us here in the 99% have found very useful. That skill is called ballistics. Ballistics in various forms has been around for at least a decade, as long as I can remember, and it's been useful the entire time. You won't see it in any meta builds. What it does is extend the critical distance of ranged weapons so that more of your shots hit for maximum damage. This allows you to shoot more often from more positions and still keep your DPS high. Some of you see where I'm going with this. How awesome would it be if ballistics also extended the range of supercritical distance? That would be truly amazing, wouldn't it? For people in the 99%, it seems like a pretty obvious thing to try. And that's just what we did. And it works. Of course it works. And it works well. Ballistics 3 makes supercritical range so big that you'll probably find it harder to not be in supercritical distance. After testing things out, it's pretty clear to me that Bolt Boost was designed to be used with ballistics. And so the core of this build, this new bow style concept, is the triple B: Bubbly, Ballistics, and Bolt Boost. Using Bubbly Dance implies that you're going to use some level of Resuscitate and or Coalescence. So for my build, I chose Resuscitate 3 and Coalescence 1. From here, it's all about customizing the set for your own personal goals. What I like to see in my builds, since I'm smart enough to recognize that Constitution and Stamina Surge is overkill, I ditch those altogether, especially with the Constitution equivalent that Bubbly Dance provides. Now, if you're in the mood for more stamina use reduction, my next choice helps with that too: Bloodlust. Now, one big assumption I've made thus far is that you'll have your shot type up level 3, for example, spread up 3. You'll have reload speed 2 for on-the-fly coding changes. Flinch-free 1 for online play, Bow Charge Plus if your bow requires it. There are a lot of great bows that do not need Bow Charge Plus because they have the 4th charge level unlocked naturally. It's like the bow equivalent of natural purple sharpness that some melee weapons have. I also use Weakness Exploit and Critical Boost in nearly all my sets. They're cheap enough now to add to almost anything you build, and the damage boost makes it worth it. I'm going to show you what I've done to fill out this core build. Note that the parts you use for your build may be different from mine depending on your talisman and your bow. I suggest using a set builder to customize your build to your own needs. Now on top of that, the new augmentation system makes builds a lot more complicated, but should also give you a lot more flexibility. So the important thing to these builds are not the armor pieces themselves so much as the combinations of the armor skills. But you're part of the 99%, so you already knew that. So I've branched this core build out in 3 directions. The first one is an all-out DPS, quote, I don't get hit much, unquote, type of build. If that's you, then this is the build you're looking for. So for this build, you're going to see on top of the core skills, Bloodlust, Dereliction, and Mail of Hellfire. These are high risk, high reward armor skills. If you don't get hit, these are great skills to have. For the second build, we have a more conservative, quote, still learning to perfect my dodge bolt, unquote, build, which drops the Dereliction and Mail of Hellfire, but it keeps the Bloodlust. It also boosts the resentment quite a bit in place of losing the Dereliction and Mail of Hellfire. As we all know by now, Dereliction slowly drains your health, and the Mail of Hellfire, while it does give you attack boosts, it also lowers your defense and or resist depending on which scroll you're on. If you're still getting hit on occasion, then you're probably better off not using those 2 skills because you'll take a lot less damage without them on the occasion that you do get hit. Now the third set, this one is the, quote, I don't want to mess with shit that drains my life, unquote, build. For this set, we ditched the Bloodlust too, and the most notable difference here is that we're jacking up the Agitator skill. We're going to max this one out. Agitator is an insanely good skill to have. Now, it only activates when the monsters are enraged, but monsters these days are angry almost all the time. So Agitator is always a good choice if you have room for it. Now, what about a fourth option where I stick Stamina Surge into the set? Well, if you use one of my builds and you're also using Fighter Level 4 and Dash Juice, and you still are running out of stamina on a regular basis, please post a video so I can see how you're doing it. I'm really curious to know. For the times when Fighter Level 4 doesn't activate, you can use Focus Shot to regen your stamina. It's a great skill to have just in case of a dangerous situation. One reason you might want more stamina regen is if you're building a slugger bow set from this and you're using Absolute Power Shot most of the quest. Absolute Power Shot's going to drain your stamina a lot more quickly. Another reason might be that you're using the hold to charge method way too often. Another reason that you might want more stamina regen is that you're following a speedrunner's script, and the script depends on more stamina regen. If this is the case, you just watched the wrong video. Sorry about that. The guy who wrote your script can troubleshoot it for you. Although I doubt you'll like the answer he gives you if you're lucky enough to get one. For the rest of you, enjoy your newfound ultra mega non-meta but better than meta bow build. Show me what mods you make to it, whether it's evade extender, elemental damage boosts, or whatever stuff you like to use. Join us on the Discord server. Leave a comment. You'd be surprised how much a simple comment will help promote the video in the YouTube algorithm. And above all else, do what makes you happy.